Okay, so I want to talk about why design is so important for theater. So, if those of you who are in theater, we all know that design is a part of it. Lighting design, set design, costume design, sound design, projection design, all kinds of different elements that go into design. It's important to know what your design is going into a show because it affects so many of the decisions that you make about your staging and your blocking and everything really, what the audience is going to feel when they walk in, what they are going to see, what they are going to experience. It sets all of that up even before anything happens. um, if you don't have that plan set out well in advance of starting your rehearsal process, if you don't know what that looks like, then everything else is harder because there's no vision behind what the moving pieces do. And I don't mean the actual physical moving pieces, although that matters as well. But your pieces don't all come together if you don't have a plan. So typically you start your designs when you know you're going to do the show, you read the show and you start designing, and you have artistic meetings right away, and you start building all of those concepts together as a team with your director whose vision it is, um, kind of leading the way and saying, yes, that works for what I want. No, that doesn't work for what I want. Um, and you develop that before you ever really start rolling with where people are going to stand and what they sound like, etc. Um, because the all of those elements come together to make a whole. If you don't have a plan, then it just turns to mud. There's no clear vision. You have things, literally things that could just clash, um, stylistically or visually. So you are always better off going in to a design well prepared. Now things change. You have to, if things don't work, if you figure out that things don't work as the process is going along, of course you change them. Um, I'm very fond of saying you have to have a plan before you can deviate from it. I tell my students that all the time. Um, but this is also a good life lesson, and another one of the reasons that theater is such a great tool for teaching life lessons. If you think about pretty much any aspect or project that you want to work on in terms of design, if you don't have a plan, you're just going to end up with mud. It's also, as a specific tool for teaching planning in the classroom, or maybe not in the classroom, let's say in the theater, because our theater is a classroom, but not everybody is experiencing theater in a classroom setting. But you have a deadline, you have a goal, you have opening night happens. Whether let's go, everything is in context of COVID. Maybe it happens 2 weeks later, but no. You have an opening night, you know it's going to happen. Um, so you have to plan backwards in order to hit opening night. What markers do we have to hit when, so that we get to here? So you start with, this is when the show's happening, and you keep backing it up. Okay, by this time we have to have all of X has to be done previous to that, all of everything else before that. Um, Usually, a rehearsal process for us is usually 6 to 8 weeks, um, but designs start happening a year out. We shoot for a year out. Um, so you've got that definite timeline that helps you hit those markers as you go forward. And so you've planned it backwards from opening, and then you're hitting the markers. And if you have to change something, oh look, that didn't quite fit the way we thought it would. Well, let's change that, and then we can move forward from there. Or this isn't telling the story the way we want to tell the story. So sometimes you have to change things. Um, and sometimes, like this year, it's been a big rebuilding year. I've talked about that a lot. Um, we don't necessarily have all of the crew that we need to run the shows because we don't have the students numbers that we did before. Um, So you still have to get things done. So how are you going to do that? You can't fabricate people out of thin air. Although we have gotten the kids to recruit their friends, which is awesome because I get them for a few more years. Um, but you have to plan designs that use fewer people because you know you don't have those people to do the show with. So, but that's all part of design as well. If you know you don't have X resource, whether it's a human resource or a material resource, like lumber prices shot up this year. Well, we can't build as much this year, so that's definitely going to affect the design.